Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel, thank you. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. Two human figures slowly descended from the air, landing on the platform. The figures who appeared were Xiao Yan and Nalan Yangran. They were the last to arrive. The appearance of these two people naturally attracted quite a lot of attention from those present. Numerous gazes shot toward these two people. However, most of them, with the exception of a few, were not acquainted with Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran. Although Xiao Yang's name had spread far, because of the recent grudge he had with the Wind Lightning Pavilion, there was still a little gap between him and Miss Feng, Tang Ying, and the other outstanding individuals from the younger generation in the hearts of some people. Xiao Yang appeared to have not sensed these gazes. His eyes swept over the place. Upon seeing that there were nearly 20 figures present, his heart was involuntarily a little startled. It was unexpected that these people's speed was all so fast. He was unable to catch up with them despite traveling through the night, of course. Most of the reason for this was because Xiao Yang was unfamiliar with the route. The people present mostly had a great understanding of the Heaven Eye mountain range. Moreover, they were also clearly aware of some shortcuts. Compared to them, Xiao Yang, who was unfamiliar with the place, was naturally at a greater disadvantage. If he had not ended up meeting Nalan Yangran at the last minute, it was likely that he would have difficulty arriving at this place in time. While Xiao Yang's gaze was sweeping around, he managed to see a couple of familiar figures. His eyes first paused on Miss Feng, whose body permeated a noble aura. This woman's appearance was not inferior to Nalan Yangran. Moreover, her demeanor was something that gave certain men the desire to subdue her. Miss Feng, who was a short distance away, also seemed to have sensed the focus of Xiao Yang's gaze. Her eyes moved and stared at Xiao Yang. There was a slight provocation within her eyes. The matter between Xiao Yang and the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion had become quite a big issue. In the end, even Fei Qian failed to successfully capture him. This caused the Wind Lightning Pavilion to lose a great amount of face. If she were able to capture him and hand him to be Northern Pavilion this time around, the Northern Pavilion would owe her a favor. They might end up being a great help in the fight for the successor of the pavilion chief. The corner of Miss Feng's mouth was involuntarily lifted when she thought about this. It seemed that she really cannot let this person off. If he were allowed to successfully leave the Heaven Eye mountain range, he would be able to borrow the help of the powerful spirit. At that time, even she would have difficulty contending against him. Since you have delivered yourself to me, this miss shall unceremoniously accept you. Xiao Yang was naturally unable to tell just what this woman was thinking in her heart. Even if he was aware of it, he would merely scoff. Perhaps he was indeed afraid of those old fellows from the Wind Lightning Pavilion. However, there were extremely few people from the same generation who could force him into an extremely miserable state. At the very least, he had never met someone since he had first started training. Xiao Yang's gaze shifted away from Miss Feng before pausing on two other figures. He had met these two people within the mountain range. They were Tang Ying from the 10,000 Sword Pavilion and Wang Chen from the Yellow Spring Pavilion. Tang Ying smiled and nodded slightly when he felt Xiao Yang's eyes. On the other hand, Wang Chen's face was dark. His eyes carried a chilly look. He seemed to dislike Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang also nodded to Tang Ying and completely ignored Wang Chen. He was about to withdraw his gaze when the corner of his eyes suddenly caught a green-colored figure. This girl appeared to be the youngest on the platform. She was wearing green clothes and her watery intelligent eyes appeared exceptionally cute. Her moving face still faintly contained a tenderness and naivety. She was a complete mismatch with the present environment. Be careful of that girl. She is not as simple as she appears on the surface. A soft voice was emitted from Nalan Yanran's mouth beside him while Xiao Yang was observing the girl. Why? Xiao Yang spoke without a change in his expression. Because she is the most outstanding person among the younger generation in the Falling Star Pavilion. Nalan Yangran slowly said, Falling Star Pavilion. Mu Qingluan. Xiao Yang's eyes narrowed. He had also heard a little about the most outstanding member of the younger generation from the four pavilions, yes. The number of disciples within the Falling Star Pavilion is perhaps the least among the four pavilions. However, all of them possess outstanding abilities, yet this Mu Qingluan was the top among them. Additionally, she might appear like a little girl on the outside, but she looked the same a couple of years ago. There has not been the slightest change in her appearance during these years. Needless to say, She is extremely strong. Nalan Yangran nodded as she explained. Surprise involuntarily flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes when he heard this. The disciples from the 4 pavilions all did indeed live up to their reputations. However, he found that it was only normal after thinking about it. With the 4 pavilions being such large factions along with the shocking talent that these people possessed, it was not too unbelievable for these people to possess such an achievement. Mu Qingluan suddenly turned her head while Xiao Yang was focusing on her. She gave him a crafty smile. Seeing this, Xiao Yang smiled and nodded to her with an impassive face. When Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran entered the platform, the small, old man near the rock stairs also glanced at the former. Immediately, he said in a slow manner, "The old me is the tribe leader of the gold-swallowing mouse tribe, Jinsha. Since all of you have arrived at this place, I think that none of you are ordinary people. You should clearly be aware that only by passing through the checkpoints that we have set will you be able to obtain the. Moreover, there was an intelligence and consciousness that was not inferior to a human flickering within their eyes. These 2 gold-swallowing mice were clearly rank 6, and should be the other 2 chosen ones to enter the Heaven Mountain blood pool this time around. As long as they could break through the Do Huang class and undergo the lightning tribulation, they would be able to transform into human form and become a true core member of the gold-swallowing mouse tribe." Only the weak voice of Jin Shi sounded on the platform. Although this old man might appear very weak, no one present dared to offend him. Other than Xiao Yang, it was likely that everyone present was familiar with this name Jin Shi. Back then, this old fellow had revealed his might in the big battle for the Heaven Mountain blood pool. Even Fei Qian and those old demons of his level were unable to defeat him. From this, one could tell just how powerful this person's strength was. Xiao Yang's gaze paused on Jin Shi's body. A moment later, he slightly knit his brows. From his voice, Xiao Yang could vaguely hear that Jin Shi seemed to possess quite a serious injury within his body. Moreover, this injury did not appear to be a new one. Instead, it was something that came as a result of long-term accumulation. Jin Shi's eyes swept indifferently across the entire platform. After coughing, he suddenly waved his sleeves. One could only see the rock stairs that led to the mountain top behind him suddenly moved. Immediately gold-colored gold-swallowing mouse appeared in a densely packed manner. There were so many of them that it caused one's head to feel numb, just looking at them. The checkpoint selection this time around is not very difficult. There is only one of them. As long as one is able to successfully reach the mountaintop amid the sonic wave of this mouse tide, one would be considered to have successfully passed. Jin Shi pointed at the dense mouse tide behind him and spoke indifferently. The expressions of quite a number of people present changed when they heard this. Quite a number of private conversations broke out on the platform. Xiao Yang was startled when he saw the reaction of the people around. He just began to have some doubts when Nalan Yangran beside him softly explained, "The gold-swallowing mouse tribe specialize in sonic wave attacks. If the sonic wave from such a large mouse tide was to be emitted together, it is likely that even an expert Do Huang would have difficulty enduring it. Looks like there won't be many people who will be able to pass." Xiao Yang only came to a sudden understanding upon hearing this. Sonic wave attack her, it was indeed a little unorthodox. Jin Shi ignored the present commotion. He raised his eyes and said, "I will give all of you 5 minutes of preparation time. After which, the sound wave formation will be activated. Whether you will be able to successfully pass through will depend on your own abilities. Of course, according to the agreement, there will be 8 people who will be chosen. If there are fewer than 8 people who pass, the remaining spots will be determined by drawing lots." After saying this, Jin Shi slowly shut his eyes and recuperated, ignoring everyone in the process. The entire place was full of commotion again, after seeing Jin Shi shut his eyes. Quite a number of people began to whisper to each other. Some even began to find helpers to break through the checkpoint together. Later, all you need to do is to try your best to use Do Qi to cover your ears and follow behind me. Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes and looked at the densely packed gold-swallowing mouse around the rock stairs, before turning his head to speak with Nalan Yangran. The sonic wave of the gold-swallowing mouse can ignore any Do Qi blocking it. Once it enters one's mind, it will cause that person to feel an illusion or giddiness. One will be hard-pressed to defend against it. At that time, all you need to do is to take care of yourself. Arriving at this place is already almost my limit. Everyone here is extraordinary. It will be quite difficult if I compete with them." Nalan Yangran mused for a moment in the face of Xiao Yang's good intention, before gently shaking her head and replying. Xiao Yang frowned when he heard this. It was unexpected that this gold-swallowing mouse's sonic wave was actually so troublesome. Immediately, he asked, how can we fight against it? One can rely on one's powerful Do Qi and forcefully endure through it in the face of the sonic wave attack by the gold-swallowing mouse tribe. Alternatively, one can also use sonic wave Do technique to fight with it. However, the gold-swallowing mouse tribe is a naturally born expert in sonic wave attacks. It is likely that an ordinary sonic wave attack would have difficulty charging through the mouse-tied sound array. Nalan Yangran hesitantly replied, sonic wave Do technique, Xiao Yang softly muttered. His eyes brightened slightly when he heard this. The lion-tiger gold-shattering roar was coincidentally quite a high-grade Do technique. More importantly, Xiao Yang had consumed a Tier 7 medicinal pill, the Yin-Yang Mysterious Dragon Pill, in the Black Corner region back then. From it, he had absorbed a thread of dragon roar. This had caused the strength of his sonic wave Do technique to become even stronger. He wondered if he could rely on it to charge through this mouse-tied sound array. When Xiao Yang recalled this Yin-Yang Mysterious Dragon Pill, he also recalled the mysterious effect that this medicinal pill had in aiding one to break through. However, this kind of effect was something that had never appeared ever since he had consumed it. Xiao Yang also felt helpless in the face of this. It was rumored that Feng Zunjia had relied on this medicinal pill to break through the Do Zun class. Could it be that he also needed to reach that level for this medicinal pill's miraculous effect to appear? While Xiao Yang was quietly sighing in his heart, Jin Shi's eyes were slowly opened. His gaze swept over the platform. After which, he waved his hand and his faint voice reverberated beside everyone's ears, time's up. The checkpoint breakthrough shall begin, all of you only have 1 hour's time. Those who fail to reach the mountain peak within an hour will be deemed to have failed. Jin Shi did not press everyone when he saw that they were quiet. All he did was speak these words in an indifferent manner. The expressions of quite a number of people changed upon hearing these words. A moment later, two figures finally could not wait any longer as they walked out from the crowd. They exchanged looks with one another before immediately cupping their hands to Jin Shi and saying, Bone Transforming Gate, Hu Yue and Hu Cheng. Jin Shi nodded his head. The Bone Transforming Gate was not far from the Heaven Eye mountain range, and was somewhat well known. Of course, it was naturally inferior when compared to a faction like the Wind Lightning Pavilion. Moreover, the strength of these two people were coincidentally at that of a 4-star and 5-star Do Huang. They might be outstanding in other places, but they could only be considered to be at the middle level in this place. After greeting Jin Shi, a somewhat pale white, powerful Do Qi surged out of their bodies, immediately wrapping around both of them. The two of them suddenly stomped onto the ground, just after the Do Qi surged. Their bodies shot out like a thunderbolt as they rushed up the rock stairs. From the way the two acted, it seemed they wished to charge through the so-called mouse-tied sound array in one go. The speed of these two was indeed quite fast. After a mere flash, they had charged over 100 meters. It was also at this instant that the hair on the densely packed gold-swallowing mice around the rock stairs stood straight up. After which, they opened their mouths, which were filled with sharp teeth, screech. Screech. A sharp cry, that seemed to be able to pierce through one's soul carried an unusual ripple, like that of a demon's tone, suddenly appeared. It immediately spread in all directions. The two figures suddenly paused when the sonic wave appeared. Their faces swiftly became pale, but they were not immediately defeated. They endured the turmoil of the Do Qi within their body as their toes pressed on the rock stairs and shot out, grug. They endured the sonic wave, that came from all directions, and advanced 10 meters before the bodies of the two of them once again stiffened. 2 mouthfuls of fresh blood were spat out. Their bodies seemed to have suffered a heavy blow as they flew backwards. Finally, they landed heavily on the stage in front of everyone's gazes. Another mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Quite a number of people on the platform sighed regretfully upon seeing this. This damn sound array was indeed troublesome to deal with. Fail. Jin Shi shook his head and slowly said. The two people from the Bone Transforming Gate could only shake their heads after hearing this. They struggled to get up and stood by the side unwillingly. All they could do now was to hope that there would be less than 8 people who could pass through this sound array. Thus, they might still have a chance. Who is next? Jin Shi's gaze swept around and once again asked. The platform was once again silent when these words were uttered. Xiao Yang, Miss Feng, Tang Ying, and the others did not reply. Although they were pressed for time, there was no need for them to hurry now. One should not neglect sharpening one's axe before chopping wood. If they were to observe the sound array, there might be an even greater chance for them to successfully pass through it. Another 4 people stepped up amid this silence. From the looks of it, they seemed to be planning to using their numbers to forcefully break through. Jinsha involuntarily twitched his mouth when he saw 4 people charging together. There was a thread of ridicule on his face. Relying on numbers would not allow one to break through this mouse-tied sound array. It was indeed just as Jinsha had expected. Not long after these 4 people charged up the rock stairs, the 2 people in front were sent flying back by the strange soul-piercing sound before they had even covered half the journey. After which, they miserably landed on the platform. From the looks of their weary breathing, it was clear that they had suffered serious injuries. Failed. Continue. Jinsha raised his eyes, glanced at the people present, and lazily spoke. Xiao Yan watched the people stepping forward to challenge the checkpoint, only to end up returning in failure to the back of the platform. His eyes became slightly solemn as a result. The difficulty of this sound array seemed to be even more difficult than he had expected. Among the challengers earlier, there were also some people who knew sonic wave do techniques. However, the sonic wave that they had unleashed not only failed to allow them to successfully charge through the checkpoint, but had instead ended up being shaken by the mouse-tied sonic wave. They spat out a mouthful of blood and flew back after the 2 sound waves collided. Although they had failed, one person had traveled the furthest among those who had attempted. If his sonic wave do technique had been able to withstand the sonic wave emitted from so many gold-swallowing mouse, it was likely that he would have really successfully charged through. While the challenge continuing, the people who participated increased. The time they managed to endure while facing the sound array became longer. This caused quite a number of people to feel somewhat excited. After all, even if they were not the ones who charged through, they were at least able to feel some hope. Xiao Yang's hand involuntarily fondled his chin after another person was defeated. The strength of this person was around that of a 7-star Do Huang or so, which was similar to Xiao Yang's earlier strength. However, this person was still forced back by the sonic wave, while he was still around 100 meters from the top of the mountain. Another wave of sighs sounded from the platform when they saw this person fail. Immediately, a colorful figure slowly stepped forward. Being one of the focus points on the platform, the actions of Miss Feng naturally attracted the attention of everyone present. Quite a number of people immediately focused. With the strength of this woman, she was considered a top existence among everyone present. If even she was unable to break through this sound array, it was likely that hardly anyone could successfully pass through it. Jinsha's lazy face revealed an interested expression when he saw Miss Feng walking out. He had heard a little about her. By being able to become the most likely successor of a faction like the Wind Lightning Pavilion, it was likely that no one would believe that she did not have some ability. Jinsha was very interested about her performance today. Feng Qing'e from the Wind Lightning Pavilion greets Jinsha elder. Teacher has told me to represent him and send his greetings before I leave. The colorfully clothed lady walked to the front of the rock stairs and smiled as she spoke to Jinsha. Jinsha smiled faintly when he heard this. He said, "Help me thank Lei Zunja for his concern. I will head to the Wind Lightning Pavilion to meet him if there is a chance in the future." Is Feng Qing'e her name? Lei Zunja, indeed. It is really impossible for the Wind Lightning Pavilion to possess such a position in the Central Plains if they did not possess a Dozun. Xiao Yang sighed in his heart and muttered softly to himself after hearing the short conversation between Feng Qing'e and Jinsha. Feng Qing'e had a polite chat in front of the rock stairs before she ceased speaking. Her pretty eyes turned to the rock stairs that led to the mountain top. After which, she glanced at the densely packed gold-swallowing mice around. A solemnness also surfaced on her face. A bright silver glow swiftly surged out from her body before it immediately wrapped around her. Begin. Jinsha waved his hand and said after seeing the silver glow appear on Feng Qing'e's body, "Bang." His voice had just sounded when Feng Qing'e's lovely body suddenly shook. She immediately transformed into a silver line that shot toward the top of the mountain with frightening speed. From the looks of it, it seemed that she was planning to obtain victory using her speed. However, it must be said that this lady's speed was indeed shockingly fast. Even Xiao Yang's eyes revealed some surprise. This lady was indeed not a simple person. Sharp sonic waves transformed into ripples that spread out swiftly at this instant. When the sonic wave made contact with Feng Qing'e's body, her body slightly trembled. Suddenly, Her speed soared and a couple of afterimages appeared in the sky. These afterimages immediately crumbled under the spreading sonic wave. This frightening speed caused quite a number of people on the platform to let out an exclamation. Looking from their angle, it seemed that even the sonic wave had difficulty catching up with Feng Qing'er. All it could do was closely follow behind and shatter the afterimages that appeared one after another. Jinsha narrowed his eyes as he looked at the figure that had transformed into a thunderbolt. He involuntarily nodded. This woman's speed was indeed frightening. It was likely that she had already practiced the Wind Lightning Pavilion's 3000 lightning movement to the highest level. A rushing wind sound appeared on the distant end of the rock stairs. Immediately, Feng Qing'er's lovely body leaped up and steadily landed on a rock. She looked down on everyone standing at the middle of the mountains from above. At this moment, a breeze blew past and her long hair drifted in it. She possessed the noble aura of a queen. Feng Qing'er has successfully passed the checkpoint. Jinsha withdrew his eyes. His calm voice finally contained a little fluctuation. This woman was someone whom even the most outstanding person among the younger generation in their gold-swallowing mouse tribe could not compare with. This Wind Lightning Pavilion did have a successor. Feng Qing'er was the first to successfully pass the checkpoint. This had caused the people on the platform to turn into an uproar. This was especially the case for Tang Ying, Wang Chen, and Mu Qingluan. Being the members of the four pavilions, they naturally did not wish to lose to the former in such a place. Xiao Yan also smiled as he looked at the commotion of the place. His gaze looked at the distant mountain top, and coincidentally met with that of Feng Qing'er. The provoking look in the other party's eyes was completely absorbed in his sight. Just follow me. I will lead you through it. Xiao Yang turned his head and smiled at Nalan Yangran. He did not wait for her to reply when he turned around and walked toward the rock stairs. Nalan Yangran was startled when she saw the skinny back. She immediately grit her teeth and swiftly followed. Since Xiao Yang had opened his mouth, she should accompany him to give it a try even if she were to fail in the end. She possessed an unknown confidence in the former. Xiao Yang brought Nalan Yangran and walked toward the front of the platform. At this moment, Tang Ying had also coincidentally walked out from the crowd. His gaze glanced at Feng Qing'er at the end of the rock stairs before turning his head to Jinsha. He cupped his hands together and said, 10,000 Sword Pavilion disciple Tang Ying greets Elder Jinsha. Jinsha nodded his head slightly. His gaze swept over Tang Ying. The other party's sword aura caused him to slightly nod his head. These four pavilions really lived up to their reputation. The disciples they groomed were all people with great abilities. With such a perfect method to groom new blood, it was little wonder that they were able to possess such a position in the Central Plains. Tang Ying slapped the large blue-colored sword on his back after the greeting. It emitted a clang sound as it automatically flew out. Finally, the sword was suspended in front of Tang Ying. A sharp sword aura permeated out, causing quite a number of people to feel a chill. At the same time, Tang Ying's toes pressed on the ground and his body gently landed on the sword. A surprised glint flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes as he looked at Tang Ying, who stood on his sword. With his eyesight, Xiao Yang was naturally able to discover some energy shooting out of Tang Ying's fingers and feet. This energy adhered to the sword, providing the large sword with the energy to float in the air. This is the royal sword technique of the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. It is rumored that if one practices it to the highest level, one will be able to control the sword with one's heart, as well as move with the sword. One's flying speed will also be extremely quick. This can be considered a unique technique of the 10,000 Sword Pavilion. Nalan Yangran softly explained to Xiao Yang. She had gained a slight understanding of these large factions during these few years that she had been in the Central Plains. It is indeed quite mysterious. Xiao Yang nodded. Experts were indeed as numerous as the clouds in the Central Plains. It was extremely rare to see such a mysterious Do skill in other places. Tang Ying's body slowly rose up while Xiao Yang and Nalan Yanglan were conversing. When he was around 30 to 40 feet from the ground, he gradually came to a stop. His gaze stared intently at the densely packed gold-swallowing mice on both sides of the rock stairs and narrowed his eyes. An instant later, he swung his robe and the long sword under his feet emitted a kai sound and rushed forward like a meteorite. His body transformed into a blue sword figure that rushed toward the top of the mountain. The sword figure had just charged into the region of the rock stairs when an ear-piercing sound that came from all directions was transmitted toward him. Under this kind of sonic wave attack, even one's soul would end up intensely trembling. If one did not have a powerful defensive skill, it was likely that one's soul would end up suffering quite a serious injury. However, Tang Ying's expression still remained cold in the face of the powerful sonic wave attack. A sharp sword aura surged out of his body, appearing just like a blue-colored sword lotus, which wrapped around his entire body. The sonic wave formed an intense ripple when it collided with it. However, this did not stop Tang Ying. In front of the envious eyes of many on the platform, Tang Ying forcefully broke through the many sonic waves within less than 3 minutes. With a flash of his body, he charged to the top of the mountain and slowly landed on it. His breathing was a little hurried, but his eyes contained a rare excitement. Although only a short amount of time had passed earlier, the danger that it involved was not any less than a big battle between experts of the same level. Success. Jin Shi nodded slightly and announced, after seeing Tang Ying successfully charge to the top of the mountain, next. A yellow figure immediately rushed out upon hearing this. Finally, he got out of the crowd ahead of Xiao Yan. He cupped his hands toward Jin Shi and said, "Wang Chen from the Yellow Spring Pavilion." Wang Chen suddenly turned his head around after saying this. He looked at Xiao Yang, who was a short distance behind, and a cold smile surfaced on his face. Xiao Yang completely ignored this. A slight smile still hung on his face. Wang Chen did not procrastinate. He swiftly turned his body and his gaze landed on the two people at the top of the mountain. With a laugh, a dark black ink-like dough chi swiftly surged out of his body. After which, it wrapped him up like a black ball. His feet stomped on the ground and the black ball used the most brutal method to rush forward with a kai sound. That sonic wave attack once again surged over when Wang Chen entered the area around the rock stairs. However, Wang Chen relied on his powerful dough chi to forcefully withstand the sonic wave. His footsteps appeared as though he was flying as he covered a distance of over 100 feet. In the blink of an eye he was already close to the mountain top. Quite a number of people emitted an exclamation when they saw that this fellow had chosen to use such a method. They immediately sighed quietly. This fellow's dough chi was indeed vast and strong. He was able to forcefully charge through this sound array. Although it may appear somewhat clumsy, it was still a viable method, ha ha. The dark black ball once again shot forth. Finally, it flipped in the air and landed on top of the mountain with a loud laugh. Success. The corner of Jin Shi's mouth was also lifted as he spoke when his gaze swept over the mountain top. This fellow's dough chi was clearly much stronger when compared to ordinary experts at the peak of the Do Huang class. Moreover, it was the rare darkness affinity dough chi. Otherwise, even if he could forcefully break through the sound array, he would definitely show signs of being greatly exhausted. However, from the looks of this person, it seemed that he had an easy time. This Yellow Spring Pavilion was indeed also worthy of being one of the 4 pavilions. Next. Xiao Yang did not anxiously appear after hearing the voice which escaped Jin Shi's mouth. His gaze turned and saw a green-clothed young lady slowly walking over. Naturally, she was Mu Qingluan from the Falling Star Pavilion. Falling Star Pavilion. Mu Qingluan greets elder Jin Shi. The young lady stood prettily and spoke to Jin Shi with a sweet smile. Her face displayed a playful look. Jin Shi's indifferent face finally revealed a smile when his eyes paused on Mu Qingluan. He nodded his head and slowly said, "Miss Qingluan's tongue is really becoming sweeter and sweeter. Back then, your clan asked you to become Feng Zunja's disciple. From the looks of it now, it seems that it was quite a good decision, Feng Zunja." Xiao Yang, who was randomly shifting his eyes on the platform, suddenly stilled his eyes at this moment. After which, he slowly turned his head in a somewhat stiff manner. His gaze had some disbelief as it locked onto Mu Qingluan. She was actually Feng Zunja's disciple. Xiao Yang had the intention of searching for Yao Lao's extremely good friend, Feng Zunja, when he headed to the Central Plains. However, he had not heard much news all this time. Now, he was suddenly able to obtain some information regarding Feng Zunja in this place. This Mu Qingluan is a member of the Falling Star Pavilion. If Feng Zunja is her teacher, then Feng Zunja is likely someone from the Falling Star Pavilion. This thought swiftly swirled around Xiao Yang's heart. A wild joy also surged onto his face. He was finally able to obtain news about Feng Zunja. If it was really as Yao Lao had said, he would be able to gain a great help and would no longer be alone. While these thoughts lingered in Xiao Yang's heart, Mu Qingluan's legs had already stepped onto the rock stairs. After which, she steadily climbed to the end of the rock stairs. When the sonic wave surged over from all directions, a clear bird-chipping soft hum was emitted from Mu Qingluan's small mouth. Under this soft hum, those sonic wave that surged over seemed to have met with a nemesis and swiftly scattered. In an instant, the tone within the entire sound array became chaotic. During this chaos, Mu Qingluan climbed up leisurely. Around 10 minutes later, she ascended to the mountain top. It seemed that she was the person who had the easiest time. Those sonic waves that could hurt a person's soul seemed to be completely useless against her. Quite a number of people became stunned when they saw Mu Qingluan ascend the mountain so easily. No one expected that one could actually pass through this sound array in such a relaxed manner that did not consume any strength. Success. Next. Jinsha helplessly shook his head when he saw Mu Qingluan easily reach the top of the mountain. He had forgotten that the sonic wave attack by the gold-swallowing mouse did not have much of an effect on Mu Qingluan. This time around, she had managed to gain a huge advantage. Xiao Yan was also similarly stunned for quite a while, because of how Mu Qingluan had easily passed the checkpoint. A moment later, he finally let out a bitter laugh. His eyes swept around him. At this moment, there were still around 10 people including Xiao Yan and Nalan Yangran, who had yet to take the challenge following the success of Feng Qing'e and the 3 others. There were only 4 spots left. Xiao Yang exhaled gently after seeing that no one had stepped forward. He turned his head, lifted his chin toward Nalan Yangran, and strode out in front of everyone's gazes. Behind him, Nalan Yangran hesitated for a moment before following. All the gazes present swiftly gathered on Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran. The 4 people on the mountain top also threw their gazes down with different feelings. One would likely identify Xiao Yang's strength through this sound array. This junior Xiao Yang greets elder Jinsha. Xiao Yang cupped his hands together and respectfully spoke, "Xiao Yang." Jinsha's eyes narrowed slightly upon hearing this name. He had indeed heard of this young man whom even Fei Qian was unable to capture. It was unexpected that even he had come to this place. The sound array will strengthen following an increase in the number of people. Are you certain you wish to bring another person along? Jinsha's eyes glanced at Nalan Yangran and said. With his eyesight, he was naturally able to tell that her strength was insufficient to pass this sound array. Before Xiao Yang could reply, Nalan Yangran behind him began to hesitantly whisper, "Why don't you go up by yourself? Bringing me along is too much of a burden, just follow me. Treat it as a gift to her." Xiao Yang shook his head and slowly walked to the rock stairs, a gift to teacher her. Nalan Yangran looked at Xiao Yang's back. She gently bit her red lips as self-mockery appeared in her eyes. She immediately sighed, lifted her leg, and followed. Under everyone's gazes, Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran slowly paused in front of the rock stairs. Quite a number of people's eyes revealed a curiosity. Many people really wished to know just whether this person, who had created an uproar, recently possessed a strength comparable to his reputation. Xiao Yang gently inhaled a breath of air in front of everyone. He stepped forward and gently landed on the rock stairs. After Xiao Yang's feet stepped onto the rock stairs, the densely packed gold-swallowing mice around the rock stairs immediately opened their eyes. The hair on their bodies stood erect as a powerful sonic wave suddenly appeared, causing the energy in this place to swiftly fluctuate. Nalan Yangran clenched her silver teeth after seeing Xiao Yang enter the rock stairs. She merely lifted her head and followed. "Follow me." Xiao Yang's gaze stared intently at the gold-swallowing mice around the rock stairs. An instant later, his throat suddenly emitted a low roar. His feet stomped violently on the ground after his roar sounded, and he transformed into a light figure, which shot toward the mountain top in a lightning-like manner. Behind him, Nalan Yangran also stimulated her Do Qi to its limit, and did her best to increase her speed while following close behind Xiao Yang. The people on the platform, as well as on the mountain top, also swiftly threw their gazes over when they saw Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran begin. Since the beginning, there had not been a precedent of people successfully passing the checkpoint in groups of 2 or more individuals. Everyone clearly understood that the strength of this so-called mouse-tied sound array was determined by the number of people in the group. Now that Xiao Yang was challenging this checkpoint in a group of 2, the sonic wave's strength would naturally be double its ordinary strength. Under such a sonic wave attack, it was likely that even Feng Qing'e and the others would have some difficulty passing through it. Hence, many people did not have much confidence that Xiao Yang would be able to charge through the checkpoint this time around. If he was alone, he might still have a chance. However, now that he was bringing along a burden, the result After Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran had charged forward by nearly 100 meters over the rock stairs, the ear-piercing sonic wave that was swiftly formed finally descended from the sky in an abrupt manner, appearing much like a storm. It entered through every single opening on Xiao Yang's and Nalan Yanran's bodies. Xiao Yang's and Nalan Yanran's bodies stiffened almost at the same time when the sonic wave arrived. However, Xiao Yang was in a much better state. By relying on the great strength of his Do Qi, he was able to forcefully endure it. Although his speed had been reduced, he was ultimately able to withstand it. However, Nalan Yangran, the pretty face of Nalan Yangran behind him, turned slightly pale. Her speed was quickly reduced as the ear-piercing sonic wave caused her soul to feel waves of piercing pain. The Do Qi within her body also began to become disorderly. Nalan Yangran tightly clenched her silver teeth. She looked at Xiao Yang's back not far away from her and forcefully endured the pain from her soul that drilled into her heart. The Do Qi in her body surged out without holding back, forming numerous defenses around her body as she tried her best to stop these sonic wave attacks. Two figures hurriedly flashed up the long rock stairs. The sonic waves from all directions seemed to possess a real form as they permeated every inch of the space around the rock stairs. Each time Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran advanced, they would exhaust a great amount of Do Qi. Only then were they able to reach their destination. When they were observing earlier, it seemed that the entire journey would only take a short couple of minutes. It was unexpected that after personally giving it a try, they finally became aware just how troublesome and dangerous this thing actually was. Screech Xiao Yang and Nalan Yangran finally charged through half of the distance of the rock stairs in front of everyone's gazes. However, Nalan Yanran's pretty face was extremely pale at this moment. Were it not for her perseverance, she would likely have found it difficult to endure to such an extent. It was a little too difficult for Nalan Yangran to break through this mouse-tight sound array with her current strength. Nalan Yanran's vision gradually became blurry. She looked at the figure in front of her, which appeared skinny. However, that figure was unusually stable amid the sonic wave. The corner of her mouth revealed a bitterness. She thought of the distant past, when she used a haughty status to forcefully cancel the Xiao clan's engagement. At that time, she might have been young and spoiled, but she knew in her heart that the reason for her actions were partly related to Xiao Yang's reputation of being useless. At that time, she had been accepted into the Misty Cloud sect and appeared to have a limitless future in the eyes of many. Xiao Yang, on the other hand, was merely a useless young master from a small clan. The gap between the two was just like that between the heavens and earth. Her arrogance back then naturally had difficulty enduring such a gap. However, it was also because of this impulse of hers that gave her this limitless regret. All the things she was proud of were completely destroyed as this young man grew one step at a time. Even her greatest support, the Misty Cloud sect, was eventually forced to take that most miserable step under his cold and indifferent voice. Originally, she thought that she and this young man, who could not be removed from her memory, would become people from two separate worlds after she had left the Jomar Empire. However, she had not expected that the person who would step forward and rescue her when she met with danger would actually be him. In their encounter once again, his strength had truly surpassed her. Until now, her qualification to follow in his footsteps had also gradually disappeared. Nalan Yangran bit her lower lip tightly with the back of her teeth when she thought until this point. A thread of blood seeped out. Originally, the relationship between him and her had the chance to be able to reach the most intimate level. Unfortunately, some regret that remained deep within her heart spread out like a poisonous snake, causing the bitterness in the corner of Nalan Yanran's mouth to become denser. The dense Do Qi on the surface of her body also became thinner under the assault of the sonic wave. Grug grug. At a certain instant, the Do Qi suddenly completely disappeared. Nalan Yanran's body suddenly stilled. Her pretty face was as white as snow. Immediately, she spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Her eyes swiftly turned dark, and her body appeared to have suffered a serious blow as it fell down like a kite, with its string cut. "I'm sorry. I have already done my best." Nalan Yangran slowly shut her eyes after sensing the exhausted Do Qi within her body. A soft mutter sounded within her heart as she did so. Quite a number of people on the platform involuntarily shook their heads when they saw Nalan Yangran flying back, after finally being unable to endure any longer. They involuntarily felt indignation toward Xiao Yang. He had brought such a beauty into the sound array, but was unable to give her any protection. This action was not like a man in the eyes of many people, acting conceited. Harming others and yourself. Feng Qing'er shook her head gently on the mountain top, as she spoke with a faint ridiculing voice. This person is quite strong. He has yet to reveal his true ability. Tan Ying hesitated for a moment before slowly speaking. Humph, you really think too highly of this brat. Wang Chen curled his mouth and coldly laughed. That might not be true. This person might be young, but even I cannot see through him. Moreover, he is able to escape from the hands of Fei Qian from the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion. Although he had the help of external strength, it is likely that no one will believe that he does not have some ability. Mu Qingluan by the side covered her mouth and laughed with her lovely voice when she heard this. Bang! A muffled thunder sound suddenly resonated from the rock stairs while the four people were conversing. Immediately, they saw Xiao Yang's body suddenly crumbled under the sonic waves. The next time he appeared, he was already behind Nalan Yangran. He extended his arm and held her narrow waist, her 3000 lightning movement. It is really as the rumors say. This person has managed to learn the Wind Lightning Pavilion's 3000 lightning movement from some unknown place. Looking at it now, this is indeed true. Mu Qingluan immediately spoke with surprise when she saw the disappearing afterimage and the thunderous roar. He is just a little thief. Feng Qing'er glanced indifferently at Mu Qingluan. Her voice carried a thread of iciness. A little thief will not be able to escape from the hands of the Wind Lightning Northern Pavilion's chief, Fei Qian. Mu Qingluan did not feel the least bit afraid of Feng Qing'er. Instead, she curled her small mouth and laughed softly. Feng Qing'er's eyebrows were bunched up together in the face of Mun Qingluan's tit-for-tat. However, due to the other party's identity, she could only swing her sleeves and turned her cold gaze towards Xiao Yang on the rock stairs. She said, in that case, I want to see just how he will bring a person and get through this mouse-tied sound array. Xiao Yang hugged Nalan Yanran's waist in front of everyone's eyes. His body paused in mid-air, as his gaze focused intently on the densely packed gold-swallowing mouse below. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. You should challenge the formation alone. I am unable to get through this large formation. Nalan Yangran said. Her pale face revealed a bright redness upon having her soft waist hugged by Xiao Yang. Use your remaining Do Qi to cover your ears. I said that I will lead you across the formation, and I will do it. Xiao Yang spoke faintly. Nalan Yangran hesitated for a moment when she saw Xiao Yang's insistence. All she could do was nod her head. After which, she used her remaining Do Qi to swiftly cover both of her ears. Screech! The countless number of gold-swallowing mice below paused for a moment before suddenly raising their heads. Numerous gazes were locked onto Xiao Yang in the sky. Immediately, their teeth-filled mouths were swiftly opened. A sonic wave, even more frightening than the one earlier, was emitted like a thunderbolt. The faces of everyone on the platform changed as they sensed the strength of this sonic wave. Xiao Yang looked at the substance-like sonic wave from the air. His mouth pulsed and his face turned a somewhat flushed red. An instant later, he suddenly opened his mouth, roar. A thunder-like lion and tiger roar suddenly appeared in the sky. Enormous sound waves wrapped around the entire Heaven Eye Mountain. The shocking roar even contained a strange dragon roar, causing the soul of anyone who heard it to tremble. Their legs also involuntarily shook. Dragon roar. The passive-faced Jin Shi displayed changed expressions at this moment, while he involuntarily cried out. That kind of sonic wave was not frightening. However, the thing that caused him to be most shocked was that a dragon roar was hidden in the cry. This kind of dragon roar was something that an ordinary Do skill could not imitate. Only some unique beast, which truly possessed the bloodline of a dragon, could emit it. However, Xiao Yang was a human. The enormous sonic wave swept around in front of numerous shocked gazes. It violently collided with the sonic wave from the mouse tide. After which, a completely one-sided disappearance occurred. What disappeared was the mouse tide sonic wave. Xiao Yang relied on his own strength to destroy the sonic wave formed from a countless number of gold-swallowing mice head-on in this kind of sonic wave face-off. This scene caused those people on the platform and the mountain top to instantly become stunned. How is this possible? This video will end here. Thank you for watching.